Good morning, everybody. I hope that you can now listen to me and everything works correctly. Yes. Okay.
Everything
Good.
works well, yes.
Okay. Hello. Good morning again. Good morning to everybody, and thank you for joining. So my name is Anna Badorska. I am the European Program Lead at Cap Digital, and it is my great pleasure to welcome you to this second final event of the DAPSI project. Today, we are going to talk about portability, and I hope that you are looking forward to this exciting day with full of interesting insights around this topic. To start, let me take you through the agenda of the day. So, in just a couple of minutes from now, we will hear some opening words from Jean-Luc Dorel, Next Generation Internet Programme Officer at the European Commission. Later on, we will have a great pleasure to hear some more about the challenges, some challenges to effective data portability from Karolina Mojzesowicz, the Deputy Head of the Unit Data Protection at the European Commission. And after a short break, we will directly dive into a series of exciting pitches from DAPSI participants, the winners of the second open call. They will take you and me and us through the breakthrough solutions that they've been working on in the last couple of months. And they will also show some great achievements they did during the DAPSI journey. And we will close up this portability morning with a roundtable and even more thrilling stories from earlier DAPSI participants and moderated by Robin Voters from TechEU. So before I hand it over to Jean-Luc, I just would like to briefly remind you the context and what is DAPSI all about. So in a nutshell, the project started in late 2019 with an ambition to foster the advanced research in data portability and services. And how does it work, and how does DAPSI achieve its goals? So we do it through support to a vast community of researchers, startups, SMEs, and innovators in two ways: by providing an equity-free funding, and on the other hand, by providing a pack of services such as coaching and mentoring to pave the way to successfully implement the solutions to reach the market by the participants. The project supports the innovators with a budget of over 5 million euro, and so far achieved many success stories that you will be discovering later in the day. And the project program is run by 6 partners from 5 countries. Zabala as coordinator, Institute Min Telecom, Engineering Fraunhofer, F6S, and my own Cap Digital, the host of the event today. And on behalf of all of those partners, I would like to again welcome you very, very warmly today. And so thank you very much. And without further ado, I hand it over to Jean-Luc. Thank you again for being with us this morning.
Welcome.
Do we have Jean-Luc?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Very
Yes, loud and clear. Hello, morning.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Thanks for the invite. And maybe that's the opportunity to give a few words on Next Generation Internet as a program, and then dig into a bit of DAPSI and the question of portability. I think what is important is that internet and the next generation internet program intends to put in practice and implement some of the values that we commonly share in Europe around data protection, cooperation, inclusiveness, transparency, and openness that we want to see, and that seems to not be the right path today for the internet. These are values and principles that Commission just issued as a statement, this last week, with the principles, digital principles. I encourage everyone to have a look at it. And NGI ambition is really to turn those values and principles into practice, because we believe between the different business models that are around the world, Europe has its own way to drive the evolution of the internet. And NGI is a funding instrument at the very end. It's a funding instrument. We have invested 60 million over the last 3 years, and will continue to invest. The particularity of this instrument is that it's very bottom up. So we give the money to intermediaries, and DAPSI is one of these intermediaries that in turn do open calls and fund small teams, focused projects in time and budget, but of very motivated people, value-driven people that are effectively driving the evolution of the internet. So it's a very bottom-up approach, but steered by some, as I mentioned, guiding principles that sustain the investment and the evolution of the internet. In that context, portability is an essential bit for people to move around platforms. This is a right that is given by GDPR, and it's of course moving statically from platform to platform as a transfer, for instance. But much beyond that, it's all the dynamic aspects of it. When, for instance, commenting from one social media to another one, that's one example. So all these aspects, the static, dynamic aspects, are covered by DAPSI, and I'm very thrilled to hear the results of the different projects that I will be speaking this morning. I think in terms of general purpose, the objective is to carry on with this approach with NGI. In the future, we'll have new work programs in place. The major shift is that we are going to be 100% open source. So very much in line with the notion of digital commons that actually the French presidency is pushing. Which means that we are going to explore the full value chain of open source value, the cycle, I mean, project cycle, from early ideas, creation of commons, to scale up to critical mass of contributors, and then to sustainability. Because of course, we don't plan to fund efforts in a given area forever. And of course, we will put in place mechanism for growing and bring to sustainability efforts. A good input to this reflection is the recently published study on open source socioeconomic value that was recently published. That also put an emphasis on the role of foundations in Europe. If you look at what makes the success of technology bricks of the internet, like Apache or like Linux, you will find behind a foundation. So sustainability will be essential. Of course, it does not prevent private business to exploit open source business model. We have examples already in NGI. For instance, we are funding some aspects of Nextcloud. I think you will have this morning a representative from XWiki, CryptPad that are also business model on open source. So NGI is contributing to the roadmap of some of these effort because we want to steer them towards the direction of more privacy, more protection for the end user, and more control. So that's the narrative that NGI push forward, that is compatible with this notion of digital commons. And as a small conclusion, today NGI, this is more than 1,000 engineers, hackers, developers, independent consultant that effectively drive the evolution of the internet. They are working full speed towards protecting our privacy, giving us more control back, more decentralization, and this is fully in line with the principles that I earlier mentioned. It's a huge catalog of solution. We are now talking about 600 solution. And I really encourage you, if you're interested, to have a look to the catalog of this solution that is now available online. I will put the link just afterwards. So very glad to hear about all the projects. Thanks for the team from DAPSI that is pushing and is tutoring these projects. And I think with that, I give you the floor back.
Thank you very much, Jean-Luc, for those opening words, and thank you for bringing us closer to the NGI context. And also thank you for waking up our audience, because as you will probably see on the chat, there is a lot of supporters already for your mentioning of open source. So, and thank you very much. And also for all your support to the DAPSI that you are bringing over the last
Welcome.
couple of years. Right. So with that, let's move ahead. And it is my great pleasure to welcome Karolina Mojzesowicz from the Unit of Data Protection that will share with us some insights about challenges of the effective data portability. So while we know that the right to data portability has a lot of potential to support the innovation, there are also some challenges on the way, and we are very, very thrilled to hear your stand on that, Karolina. Thank you for joining.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for having me here. And well, I will sketch a little bit our thinking about portability of data, in particular the portability of personal data. Jean-Luc already made a small hinted towards what we do in the area of portability of personal data, but well, let me develop on it and let me speak not only about the challenges, but also about the achievements which we already have and where the whole idea. You know that actually the portability and its effect on lowering barriers to entry and improving the contestability of the markets and inducing elements of fairness was already tried by the Commission as far as the telecom sector is concerned. You'll maybe remember the big move with portability of telephone numbers and how much it opened up the possibility of alternative operators to challenge the position, to contest the position of the incumbents. Well, Article 20 of the GDPR builds precisely on this idea. What we wanted to achieve in Europe is fair and contestable and environment, online platform environment, of which the portability of personal data is a part. So the idea with which we came in introducing Article 20 in the GDPR was to lower or to while empowering the consumer, the data subjects, our residents, in the way they exercise the control over their personal data, we wanted to ensure that they will be able, without any, let me call it, sunk cost, to change between the operators which will offer solutions and services which are more data protection friendly. This idea, so when I put my data, my photos, my contacts from one operator, from one controller in using the GDPR terms to another one, and that I can do it without being obliged to reintroduce everything with another one again. So this idea, it's where we were coming from, and we were looking how this this element of portability was used since the 25th of May 2018. Well, already in the communication from the June 2020 on the application of the GDPR, we had to say that the right to data portability was not used to its potential. And in the European Strategy for Data from February 2020, we emphasized the need to facilitate all possible uses of this right. For example, by mandating technical interfaces and machine readably formats, allowing portability in data in near to or real time. We found also, while being in contact with different stakeholders, that operators, so the controllers, not always were very forthcoming in providing, in facilitating the exercise of this right, and in providing data in a structured and commonly used machine-readable format, also due to the lack of such a standard. We realized also that only organizations in particular sectors, such as banking, telecommunication, water and heating meters, had implemented, or at least were reporting on having implemented, the necessary interfaces. We, while realizing it, we were also developing in the more or less in parallel the new legislative tools, which were tabled by the Commission in a form of proposals in the end of 2020, where these challenges which the exercise of data portability right under the GDPR were targeted, and where we provide solutions. Here I think in particular about the Data Markets Act and its Article 6(1)(h), which obliges gatekeepers to provide effective portability of data generated through the activity of a business user or end user, and which obliges the gatekeeper to provide tools for the end users to facilitate the exercise of data portability in line with the GDPR, and again by the provision of continuous and real-time access. This introduction, in particular of this obligation, which extends and builds on the GDPR. So it's not a mere repetition, but it extends on the obligation of the GDPR. It changes a little bit the perspective. It's from the GDPR right to exercise the data portability right given by the GDPR in front of the controller to an obligation of the controllers to proactively provide effective portability tools. This is all going together with was already mentioned by my colleague, giving better control. And here in the Data Market Act, we tackled the element of contestability in digital markets. It's enabling the consumers to be able to take up services which offer better data protection, not to be locked in, and to enable also businesses to be able to reach out in a more direct way to data subjects. Because indeed, any kind of portability of data must be also exercised in full compliance with the GDPR, what means that data subjects must be given this control. Now the Commission works on the last or on the last pack of this development on data portability. And here I'm thinking in particular about the Data Act, which will also extend and complement on the right provided under the GDPR, and which will probably, it's all in doing, and the Commission still did not table its proposal, but the idea is to depart from the constraint of the exercise of the right to data portability from this right being able to be exercised only if the data was gathered on the basis of consent and contract, to a broader spectrum. So when data is also processed on other legal basis, and to induce a stronger this obligation of real-time or nearly real-time possibility to exercise the right. Here, what will follow up is the legislation concerning specific data spaces, which will provide for the more direct means of sharing of the data, and also will further develop this idea of how to port data under in which conditions, and if there are any obligations or possibilities for the companies to get some kind of from the companies who receive this data which is being ported. So for the companies who collected the data, organized the data, to get some kind of reimbursement, so that there are more incentives for the controllers, for the data holders, in order to provide for the portability solution in a very effective way. I think I will end here, and I'm looking forward to hear other speakers and their developments on the ideas of the portability. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Karolina, for joining us today, and those very interesting insights on the future and on the legislation that is in preparation in the Data Act. Um, yes, thank you very much. And I think with that, we are ready to take a small break just to grab a coffee and stretch the legs before we get ready to listen to our DAPSI finalists. We will meet again at 10:45. And this part will be moderated by my colleague Miguel Diaz Gonçalves from F6S. So please be back at 10:45 sharp. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. I think it's time to start with the pitch session. Welcome back. The pitch session will be a look into the future. It's all about technology can make human-centric data portability a reality. It will also represent all the work done by the teams in the last month of the DAPSI program. So we will have 14 pitches, 14 different ways to make data portability go mainstream. Each team will have 5 minutes to pitch, and I'll be here to support you to comply with this. So let's start with the Consortium project presented by Nicola Palladi, and good luck to everyone.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Nikolai Palladi. I am the CEO and co-founder of Eppd. And today I'm going to tell you about our project, confidential computing enclaves for the masses, or COSEM. And this is a foundational project for Eppd, made possible by DAPSI, and we're very thankful that DAPSI made the existence of Eppd possible. So today we have a problem. The problem is namely that data collaboration between business intelligence and data controllers is very difficult. It's both difficult technically, legally, and organizationally. So our mission is to make this collaboration easier and to make data portability between data controllers and business intelligence providers smoother and easier and unlock the full potential of data. The business model that we're targeting could be compared to something like Airbnb for data and analytics. Our goal is to connect the providers of analytics and data controllers, and we charge a transaction fee for enabling this digital trust and creating the possibility for secure collaboration between data controllers and business intelligence. Right now, we're in the very early stages, and we focus on running the so-called confidential compute enclaves where data is being processed, and we offer occasional professional services. However, we also have a vision to automate digital trust, and we're building a platform for a digital asset marketplace where all the actors can exchange and monetize their digital assets. So these can be machine learning models or data sets, and they can monetize them without releasing their intellectual property. So they can still hold on to the intellectual property and repeatedly monetize data sets, for example. I would like to highlight the exceptional technical progress that we've achieved during this 9 months. So this was a major challenge that we have set out in the very beginning of the DAPSI project to deploy or to develop an infrastructure as a code setup where we can deploy confidential computing enclaves or trusted execution environments across the cloud providers to make it cloud provider independent. And we have achieved that. We have a state-of-the-art infrastructure as a code setup where we can deploy confidential computing enclaves on Azure, OVH Cloud, and we are also talking with some Swedish cloud providers at the moment to introduce the support. We are among the first, or perhaps the first company to actually use an upcoming standard that is being standardized in IETF, in the Remote Attestation Procedures Group, to provide the trustworthiness claims to the end user, so that the end user can actually trust the infrastructure where they're running. We have made a lot of effort. We have put a lot of effort into setting up all the infrastructure and documenting our efforts, and also setting up a system to monitor our services to make sure they're up and running at all times. I'd like to highlight some major achievements that were done during this project. So we have become members of the Confidential Computing Consortium, and this makes it much more possible to interact with other members of the confidential computing community and get in touch with potential customers. Very importantly, we have become recently a member of the EXO, or European Cybersecurity Organization, which will help us contribute to creating a more dynamic and lively European cybersecurity ecosystem. We have also become part of Lund University Holding. Lund University is one of the top universities in Sweden, so we're officially a startup, and we have contributed to IETF standardization. Major achievements, we have talked to a bunch of companies in various domains, and the core takeaway is that regardless of business domains, data governance and data quality are crucial for data collaboration readiness. So we will take with us further. And finally, we have strengthened our team. We have now 2 external board members. We are both founders are fully committed, and we have our first hire, an R&D engineer who's a PhD student in cryptography. Thank you. This is it for Canary-Bit. We provide cryptographically verifiable environments for business data collaboration, and we encourage you to book a demo right now on canarybit.eu. And most importantly, thank you, DAPSI, for supporting this project. This has been a great experience for all of us.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Nikolai, for the presentation and for the achievements. Very well done. Let's now move to the next team. So we have with us David Benke that will present the Interoffice Project.
Hello, everyone.
The floor is yours.
Thank you. So yeah, hi everyone, I'm David. I'm the design lead on the CryptPad team. So collaborating on documents in real time is become an expected feature of online life and work. Many services offer collaborative applications, sometimes for free. However, in these cases, the real price is privacy. Whoever facilitates online collaboration has access to the content being shared and may use this information for their own profit. On the other hand, there are solutions that promote privacy and use encryption, but these are typically not great at collaboration. CryptPad exists so you can have both. We offer an online collaborative office suite that is end-to-end encrypted and fully open source. We offer all the applications that you would expect: text documents, spreadsheets, Kanban boards, and more. And everything is encrypted in the browser. That means that no readable data ever leaves the user's device. We've been developing this project since 2016, and it's still under active development, with major applications and features being added in the last year alone. We have about 80,000 weekly active users on CryptPad.fr, our flagship instance, and there's about over 500 third-party instances that we know of. Now, a major limitation until now was that you could not import common Office formats. This was a major hurdle for attracting new people to the platform, and this is what we solved with the DAPSI project. The reason we could not import or export these documents is that in most cases, conversions like this happen on the server. Behind the scenes, the document is sent and converted by the server, but this means that the server has access and can see the content. Our strict privacy requirements is that the server cannot see any data that is not encrypted, so we could not do this. Thanks to DAPSI, we have engineered a converter using WebAssembly, and this is downloaded to the user's browser, so the conversion happens on the user's device, just like anything else on CryptPad, and the server does not see any data. This has allowed us to release 2 new applications, Document and Presentation. These are integrations of only Office clients, just like our spreadsheet editor, which we've had for some time. For now, these are in early access on CryptPad.fr, meaning only subscribers can create new documents, but the code is open source and third-party instances can already enable these apps, and we will make them available to all users on CryptPad.fr after the testing period. We've integrated this new functionality into the platform, for example, with the Open-In feature, which allows you to upload, for example, a Word document and then open and edit it in the relevant application on CryptPad. Our work on Interoffice has made a big difference to how people use CryptPad. At the beginning of the project, we ran a survey with our users that received around 650 responses. And thanks to this, we were able to evaluate our success at the end of the project. So we estimate that DAPSI Interoffice allowed us to address nearly 70% of pain points related to importing or exporting documents. On this map, you can see in green that DAPSI and Interoffice helped us to significantly increase the coverage of CRIPPAD in terms of supporting the formats and workflows that our users declared that they use. Aside from these improvements on CRIPPAD itself, we're also releasing the WebAssembly converter as a standalone repository that is open source, so it can be used by other developers facing similar challenges. And finally, we've also learned a lot about business and strategy during the project. And so after considering various strategies and business models, we decided to focus on the dedicated instance market, which is largely untapped at the moment. We still have a lot to do on this front in the coming year, but following the advice from the DAPSI coaches and the phase 1 feedback, we've revised our pricing strategy for enterprise. And we also have some key features which I'll pass. I want to thank you very much for your time, and we're very grateful to NGI DAPSI for this opportunity. And these are all the ways you can get in touch with us. We look forward to your feedback and comments.
Thank you very much, David, for the presentation, for the achievements, for the learnings that you shared, and also for complying with the time limit for the pitch. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Let's move now with Luca Rofia, VIME CEO, that will present the Daisy Breaker project.
May I share the screen?
I think you can, but I think you
please go ahead.
Yeah, as we tried yesterday, so you must see. You are not able to enable screen sharing. I don't know why.
I don't know if Abdul can help here.
Then maybe you can go ahead with these slides and you can use the arrow on your keyboard to move them.
Yeah, that's a shame. If you remember that there is no animation, but yeah, I don't know why yesterday we tried and it worked.
All right, let's try again. Please go ahead. Let's try again.
Yeah, let's do. So I tried last time, and otherwise we go with your. No, okay, it's impossible. Let's go. Sorry for the inconvenience.
No worries.
Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Luca, and I'm co-founder and CEO at VIME, University of Bologna spin-off. First of all, let me thank all the DAPSI staff for the support, in particular Sarah and Alfonso for all the networking and technical activity they organized. A special thanks to our mentor who guided us in improving our business idea, in particular Jan, who helped us refining our business plan. VIME has been founded just in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic emergency. This had for sure its drawback, but at the same time, it allowed us to adapt and build a fully remote working environment. Thanks to two young and enthusiastic engineers, we built the very first VIME application to publish as linked open data COVID-19 Italian daily data. At the end of 2020, we acquired the first customer, an US-based company, but the big step forward has been possible thanks to DAPSI. During 2021, we acquired a second customer, and we have been recently selected with the NGI on-chain project, where we have proposed to use blockchain technologies to enhance the VIME solution. So VIME human capital is growing, and this is one of the most important goals we reach, in my opinion. So thank you so much to you, NGI Initiative, for still believing and supporting us. The interoperability solution proposed by Daisy Breakers is built on top of SEPA, that is one of the VIME core technology. SEPA enables the detection of changes over linked data, supporting the development of linked data-driven, context-aware, and interoperable application. Within the Daisy Breaker project, we extended our solution by integrating, on the one hand, the community Solid server, and on the other hand, the open source implementation of the NGSI provided by Scorpio Broker. So thanks to Daisy Breaker, we extended SEPA with NGSILD and Solid API, enabling the fireware and Solid ecosystem to gain mutual benefits. Thanks to a partnership with Alma Elettronica, a Bologna-based company with more than 20 years experience in the market, we have been implemented an MVP called MONAS, which enables the predictive maintenance of cast-raising transformer. So just to give you an example, a cast-raising transformer is a device that provides energy to very large building like a mall, an hospital, or a residential building. MONAS is provided as a software as a service so that a cast-raising transformer maker can resell it to its own customer. Our early adopter is a major client of Alma Elettronica, which has something like 100,000 transformers installed all over the world. A very short technical explanation of the MVP. As first, all the context entities are created so that the physical devices can update the temperature value. Thanks to a SEP application, all the entity created through NGSILD can be retrieved also through a solid pod. And eventually, a solid prototype application has been developed to show both live and historical data. Okay. The most appropriate business model for MONAS is the subscription one, composed by a fixed fee and an extra fee per device. For pricing our service, we have simply added the markup of the total cost of a single device. The higher the quantity of devices subscribed, the lower will be the price. So no more pain. Keep safe your device at the price of a cup of tea, maybe two in some cases. Sorry that I need to switch every time here. We do not expect to have any subscription for the 6 months. As I said before, we plan to pilot MONA with an early adopter, which is also a market leader and already the major client of our partner. So the break-even point is expected to be reached between September and October 2022, and our goal is to reach 50,000 devices within 1 year, as most of them belong to our early adopter. Thank you so much from the Daisy Breaker team.
Thank you very much, Luca. Thank you.
So sorry for me. I spent a lot of time to make present the animation, but yeah, it doesn't work. So.
No worry. The presentation were 5 minutes, so no problem at all. So thank you very much for showing your technical but also business progress. Thank you very much for participating in DAPSI. I see that we already have here Svante that will present us the IDIS project, and Svante is also a founder of IDIS company. So welcome, and yeah, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I'm Svante Schubert, and I'm the project lead of the pre-startup IDIS. And currently, yes, we are the NGI DAPSI project, and very thankful to be here and to be that our dream became true by sponsoring it. And we are bridging data islands from business to business to government. So what is the data island? A data island represents isolated data. In our case, software or a group of software that speak its own language. And because like any island, this island was isolated, the language spoken on the island has evolved from the rest of the world. So is this a problem? Well, it becomes a problem if there are many islands, especially now in the age of digitalization, where they need to talk to each other and exchange data. So how can this problem be solved? So it's easy. They need to transform the data. And here you can see the translation that all the translation between all the islands when they talk to each other. We say syntax to syntax is what the errors is being representing, and the syntax describes how the data is being written. Syntax comes from the old Greece and means something like joint order, and you see it's quite a lot of transformation. But what does it mean for a single island? Look at the top red island. This red island have now to work on transformation to any other island. Yes, so if there are n islands, you have n-1 transformations. And worst of all, you have to know all the implementation details of all the syntax of all the other islands, which is a lot of work for the domain experts. And these are moving targets. Can we do it better? Yes, of course we can. There's a trick. At design time, we use the semantic, the meaning, as a common denominator for the syntaxes of all islands. So we have now a hub in the middle. So what do we gain? The domain expert of the island no longer have to care about all the other syntax details, and they only have to maintain one relationship. There's a reduction by the duplicated work of data. So, and we untangle the complexity because we are now not talking only about syntax, we're talking about semantic, and this is much closer to the knowledge of the domain expert semantics meaning. So we are now able to generate documentation. So to summarize, the domain expert work is reduced and the quality improved by the reduction of redundancies. So from this hub at design time, we are now able to generate all the transformation that we've seen earlier. Like here from the top red to the bottom yellow island, the maintenance gets far easier. And we are going to offer a consulting, how to create this common denominator, and software service by our tool to generate these transformations. And in the future, it should also be possible to generate the semantic hub in the middle as a runtime. Because think of it, it's like a software that's just loading and saving various syntax. So if this is such a good idea, why is this approach not already being used, adapted, for instance, by a standard, the blueprint of interoperability? It is. For instance, the European e-invoice norm, the first thing for digitalization, one of the most important projects, it is using this. So let me exchange these two data islands. These are the UNCFACT XML and Open UBL XML. We just don't care about the islands, just XML, but they use the same approach, this single semantic. So let's take a quick look on how this semantic to syntax relation is being expressed with them. It's fascinating how easily it's been done. It's simply a table. Please don't look at the details, just look at the simplicity. On the left, you see a semantic. On the right, it's a syntax. And it's just like they're picking pieces from two Lego boxes, left semantic pieces and right syntax, and putting them together. Yes. And it's a bit ironic here that the European standard created to get rid of the paper itself is written on 400 pages of PDF, digital stone, totally data unstructured. So because nobody wants to copy paste content from 400 pages, therefore we earlier extracted the data back to a structured XML, and we're using VMP, our tool, to validate it. So a quick look at our MVP tool. You see it's a Visual Studio Code extension, and in the open core, we're standalone, but we're available in cloud very soon. As a prototype, we've chosen this European invoice norm, but we can be allied to any other domain. Your domain, just contact us. Join the team. It's open source. We are the IDIS team, yet quite highly focused on Technic. But yes, we are with DAPSI, we got to push to business now. With Thomas, UX GUI lead, Edward, the experience of search and metadata, and a lead in machine learning as well, me as a lead in visionary, and Lawrence, the talented front-end developer. Thank you, DAPSI, for making this happen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Svante, for your presentation and enthusiasm. Thank you for that. So we are now moving to the last pitch of this batch. And as far as I know, my last team could not join this event, but they sent us a recorded pitch. So I think this is what we are going to see now.
Hello everyone, and welcome to this presentation about Moisesovic. In this presentation, I will first explain what Moisesovic is and why we are working on this project. Then I will explain what we did in the DAPSI project, as in what we did with the funding. what we are going to do going forward, what is our business plan, and then finally I will briefly introduce the team, people that work on Moisesovic and friends of Moisesovic as a project. So what is Moisesovic? Well, we are an open source, community-driven effort bringing a modern alternative to the current mobile market and ecosystem. That is a mouthful, but basically it means we're trying to create an alternative to iOS and Android. And we want to make an alternative that's open source so that people can inspect it. Every component of the system can be fixed and reused. And we want a system where users are not paying with their privacy. That is, we're making a mobile phone and tablet operating system for the people, by the people. So by keeping it free from advertising and commercial interests, we hope to build a system that users and companies feel that they can actually trust and rely upon. The mobile ecosystem is currently being dominated by two players, Apple and Google, for iOS and Android. They together hold a complete duopoly, with 99.9% of all new smartphone sales being either Android or iOS devices. The companies have a lot of control over the devices they produce, and by extension, this gives them a lot of control over the users of the devices and of other companies that try to compete in the mobile ecosystem, such as making applications. Together, the companies could, potentially, secretly coordinate to further strengthen their dominant position. Clearly, it's not a good situation to be in, as these companies now find their ways to all the parts of our lives. The world does seem to be waking up. The European Union has repeatedly fined Google with anti-competitive behaviors, and recently they have fined them 4.3 billion euros for an antitrust procedure because they were abusing Android for bolstering their standing elsewhere, in particular their search. And we believe this only shows the urgency of alternative mobile operating systems. With Moisesovic, we aim to provide an alternative to everyone who feels that the current situation is not healthy, with strong principles and a focus on supporting applications that respect the user's privacy. To achieve that, we are trying to grow our community, advance our mobile operating system, and also the amount of various devices that we support, thereby also giving new life to aging devices that have been dropped by companies that sold them in the first place by, for example, no longer providing software updates, rendering the devices quite useless. Right, so what did we do during the DAPSI project? Well, we integrated WireGuard and OpenVPN, which are two, VPN projects, and we also integrated Tor, which is an anonymizing network. So this allows the users of the telephones to anonymize their traffic in certain ways and secure it using VPNs. And then we also worked on another core part of our operating system, which is the social part, being able to make phone calls, write SMS texts, write text over Matrix or Signal or any of the other protocols. To do this, we integrated telepathy, which is a communication framework, and we added support to telepathy and to our operating systems for various new protocols like Signal. And we also wrote a user interface to all of this for our operating system. All right, let's talk business plans. We have two separate plans. The first plan is recycling. So we aim to become serious when it comes to phone recycling. We also want to support new devices, but also old ones by refurbishing and selling them, as well as raising money to support more devices that would otherwise get thrown away. We've already contacted some recycling companies, and they seem interested in our ideas. And then in addition to that, we want to try hand at crowdfunding to gauge the interest in our project. We want to raise 100,000 euros to support more devices and extend the privacy features of our operating system, depending on what exactly the users want. We also thought about maybe creating our own mobile phone, but that seems way too hard, and we don't have the in-house expertise to do that. So our timeline, we hope to start with the recycling and actually get that all going, and then we'll look at crowdfunding later this year. And maybe we'll look at making a phone, but I'm not quite sure if we'll actually do that. And as far as the team goes, there's 3 co-founders. So people who were there at the start, that's me, Merlijn, Ivan, and Ivailo. We started back at the end of 2017. And since then, other people have joined us, like Carl and Sander. They're helping us out now in various places. And the community is actually quite a bit larger. We have probably over a couple hundred users right now. And then as far as friends and supporters go, Pine64 is making their own phone, the Pine Phone and the Pine Phone Pro, and we've been talking with them since the start, giving them hints, and also we support their phone. So that's a mutual beneficial relationship. The Internet Archive hosts much of our packages. And Lanat has funded us in the past, and Devon and Dine provide the base for our operating system. And then, of course, DAPSI is part of the Next Generation Internet, so they're our friends as well. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Well, thank you for this recording, very self-explanatory.
Hi everyone, my name is Julia Moravsky from Cap Digital. I think there is a technical problem from Miguel. So it's time for the break, 15 minutes break for the next, and we will meet again at 11:20 for the next batch. So have a nice cup of coffee again. You have time to check your email, and we will see again at 11:20. So see you soon.
And welcome back, everyone, to the DAPSI Final Event. I hope you are enjoying all the pitches so far. On the next batch, we have 5 new pitches, and we will start with the MyEnergy.ai project. It will be presented by Christopher Jackson, Advanced Infrastructure CEO. So, Christopher Jackson, the floor is yours.
Can I just confirm you can see my screen? Can I share my presentation on my end rather than your end?
I think you can try.
Thank you. Great, thank you guys. So hello, my name's Christopher Jackson. I'm co-founder and CEO at Advanced Infrastructure. We build data and toolkits that measure the carbon footprint of complex infrastructure projects. And it's always been difficult to design an energy project because the data is siloed and hard to get. The modeling tools are designed for experts, and there are many stakeholders with many different needs. This results in millions of euros wasted on abandoned projects every year. And that's why we created tools for municipalities to build low carbon energy infrastructure projects that help citizens take control of their carbon footprint. Let's start by looking at our first use case. So Alistair is in charge of energy at a municipality. A climate emergency is being declared, and he set the target of hitting 0 emissions for 7,000 buildings by 2025. It's a tough target because he doesn't have the data, the models, or the experience. That's where we come in. Step 1, Alistair logs on to our platform and starts searching for data. He searches through public data sets to see what other municipalities are doing. He uploads his own private data sets to improve his searching outcomes. And he overlays our own synthetic data sets, mixing energy, socio-demographic, and transport data to create incredibly powerful data layers that allow him to make fast and impactful decisions. He's found the buildings he needs in seconds. Step 2, now he needs to model his chosen pathway to net zero and validate his business case. He imports an open source heat pump model from academia and repurposes it in seconds using our open source toolkits. Step 3 is in engagement and sign-off. He shares the project with his colleagues and stakeholders through our platform to get support and buy-in, and with energy companies to confirm timescales and costs for infrastructure upgrades. The platform manages data visibility between all the stakeholder groups. So what's the value proposition? We reduce data sourcing time from 90 days down to minutes, and we automate the design process from days down to hours. And we save money by reducing construction costs through integrated design. Across our 3 user groups shown here, you can see that the annualized savings for each sector. Over 75 million is spent on data acquisition for energy infrastructure projects each year, with market research showing growth rates of over 20%. This is the market in which we operate. So what does the market landscape look like? Of course, there are other companies in this space, but we outperform them with higher resolution data sets and more sophisticated AI-based design tools. Our customers love working on our platform, and the more customers that use the platform, the better it gets, keeping us ahead of the competition. Over the past 2 years, we've raised nearly 1.5 million in competitive R&D funding to develop our data and design toolkits. And in the past 3 months, we've won 170,000 euros of pilot revenues. In the next few months, we hope to be signing heads of terms with a multi-billion euro utility based in the UK, and we're also backed by VC fund Rockstart with support from a host of accelerators and mentors. This is our team: myself, Christopher, formerly of the European utility E.ON, and our CTO Suhas, previously from AI startup Claire.ai. There are 9 team members in total, covering data science, software development, and commercial functions. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Christopher. You still have 1 minute if you want to conclude. But
I'll just finish up by saying this year we're targeting a raise of about of €1 million over the next 6 months to match against our pipeline of public grants and expand our platform to other European markets. Those are our plans for the next 6 months.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much for this great job and presentation. Now we'll go to the next project, Tycho, which will be presented by Roberto Ravasco, Orvium founder. Hi.
Morning. Hopefully you can hear me.
Perfectly.
Okay. I would like to share my screen if that's okay.
Yes, I think you can try.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
It's coming. Yeah, perfect. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Roberto Ravasco, and I'm one of the founders of Orvium, an official CERN spin-off and EdTech startup. Today, I would like to introduce you to Tycho, an open data protocol for research data. The most important research funding agencies like Horizon 2020 or Planet require all research performed with their funds to be published under open science, making science more efficient, reliable, and responsive to societal changes. A key area under open science is open research data, scientific research data with no restrictions on its access. Europe requires research data to be fair and open by default, but most of the times this data contains personal information, and this is an important concern for researchers, like, for example, Marta Teperek, the head of the Research Data Services at 40U Research Data. She is a very well-known professional in data stewardship in Europe, and she basically explained to us that they store important amounts of personal data used for research purposes, and a solution to preserve data privacy is very necessary. Then the question is, how can we help researchers funded by open science organizations to comply with GDPR? Well, here is where Tycho can help. Tycho enables both researchers and data donors to share research data while they comply with GDPR regulations using a human-centric approach. Basically, researchers just need to publish a call for data for a particular research, and donors decide whether they want to submit their data to the call or not. A call for data describes the research itself, the data processing method, it stores donors' consent following GDPR, and most importantly, it makes data findable to other researchers by using FAIR principles. An important use case for Delft Technical University, where different research teams could benefit from using the same dataset to their different projects. Finally, donors can submit to a call for data and first manage the data share, when, to whom, and for what purpose. And second, donors can store their consents, transactions, usages, revocations as a transparent and publicly available proof of existence persisted in the blockchain with a human-centric approach. Our clients are entities working with open data from labs, research centers, hospitals, pharma, universities, etc. Our suppliers are obviously the data donors themselves, and our partners, Orvium, as a CERN spin-off, is in contact with different universities and research institutions, and some of them, like TU Delft University, already expressed their interest in Tycho signing a pilot with us. Regarding addressable market, a recent study done by the European Bioinformatics Institute estimates the benefits of open data at 1.3 billion euros per year just by making scientific information freely available. In terms of our traction, thanks to the DAPSI program, we've completed the different goals we established at the beginning of the program, from project ideation, analysis, customer interviewing, prototyping, design, and application development. And now we can offer an open and publicly available service to all researchers willing to collect research data under GDPR regulation. And our app is open and fully functional. In the screen, you can see different calls for data created in our live environment, waiting for donors. These calls are accessible to other researchers to maximize data discoverability using metadata, keywords, and so on. In terms of portability, Tycho enables a REST API deployed using serverless technology. This enables our services to be globally distributed and automatically scalable, which provides high demands capability of data to be transferred from one environment to another, This technology is also efficient because with serverless, Tyco only scales based on the current demand, which provides the appropriate performance relative to the amount of active users each time. To improve maintainability, we provide documentation for all parts in Tyco. For example, for the API, we use OpenAPI specification, which allows to easily see all functionality and generate API clients seamlessly to any easy integration with Tyco. Tyco uses latest open source UX technology for usability called Angular to provide a very user-friendly interface for the best user experience. And we are open source, so we invite all developers to the big Tyco family. Finally, Tyco uses a SaaS model with 3 different plans tailored to the needs of our customers and driven by our key traction metric, which is the consent logs. One free for independent researchers with limited functionality, one for small labs or hospitals, and finally one for universities, pharma, and research centers. Thank you very much.
Excellent, Roberto. Thank you very much for your presentation. So we went from the last presentation from the energy sector to research and open science, which shows us that data portability is very topic sensitive and should be adaptable. So we can move now to the next presentation, and I welcome on this virtual stage Stuart van Groningen, I hope I pronounced it well, from the Eppd Migrator project.
Hi, thank you everybody. Great you're all here to listen to my short presentation. I'm going to hold a brief presentation about the PDS Migrator we built. It's all about data and data links, keeping data linked. That's an important thing we're working on. First, I want to briefly introduce the team members. That's Auke, Ben, and Ivo. They're the main developers who created the software for this project. And I will briefly touch our starting points, from which points we came up with our ideas. One of the things is we love Solid. We like the ideas that Tim Berners-Lee is presenting in his new specification. And one of the things we're always struggling with is that the median lifetime for links is only 100 days. That means if you're building something, you're having a web page, and you're having links to other information, within 100 days, half of the links are gone. I mean, it's very disturbing for people to read web pages that way. Also, one of the things we're seeing is that you can take out the data of a platform thanks to GDPR law, but data is not coherent anymore. With that, we mean you only get your pictures, but they're not in relationship with each other anymore. So it's very important to keep links to preserve the information you have in your data. Well, for this purpose, we made a specification as an addition to Solid. And beyond specification, we also created an application. I will briefly tell you what we did for the project. We created a specification for Solid with an ontology, and the specification is especially for how you can create data in your pod, that even if the information is gone, you are being redirected to the location of the data. One of the applications we built is the Pod Migrator. The Pod Migrator is partly inspired by observing that in the start of Solid, there was a community server which went to a different URL. It went down, and a lot of people lost access to their data, and a lot of links were lost. And with our specification, you are able to create a redirect, so you can tell people who are looking for your data where the current location of that data is. I will briefly show in the background. You can now see the Solid Migrator in action. It transfers the data and it leaves redirects. But the great thing is that it's completely user controlled. And one of the things we discovered during our research is that it's not only possible to redirect a complete data pod or a complete set of data in all your data, but you could even redirect small pieces of data. And with our ontology and our specification, you could even redirect resources within a piece of data. For example, if you're writing a book and you have a chapter which you want to delegate to somebody else, you could even delegate that small piece of data to another resource. Well, you can see the link in my presentation. So if you want to watch the video, click it there. One of the things we built as a result was also another demo application, which works for the redirection of specific resources. That's the Zettel custom. In the Solid community, and that's important, the specification was well received. We're still talking with them whether it can be included in the Solid specification. One of the things we learned in the project, and that's something we want to share, is write tests first. That's a very important working method because it can save you a lot of time. I'm sorry, I had the wrong image presented to you. And that's my presentation.
Okay, thank you very much for the presentation and the work shared. So let's now move to the next team. We have with us Olivia Smith, project lead at the Post-Market OS. Hi again.
Hi, does it work? Yeah.
Yeah, like yesterday, it works. So this virtual floor is yours.
All right, so this is Post-Market OS. We are an open source smartphone operating system based on Linux, and we are aiming for a 10-year lifecycle for smartphones. But most importantly, for DAPSI, we are giving users control over their data. And to illustrate what this means, I'm going to show you how it looks like when you start up Android for the first time. So it will ask you to register with Google or sign in into a Google account. And if you press the tiny skip button on the bottom left, then it reminds you that if you don't sign into Google, you won't be able to install applications and some other things. So you type in a name and move on. And even though I clicked on skip, it still asks me if I want to share my data with Google here, if I want to share my location. And everything is enabled by default. So I have to swipe to the left on each of these settings and disable it if I don't want it. And only after that, I finally see the familiar application launcher screen. And on the screen, as you can see, Google is completely integrated in this operating system. There are so many Google icons here. There's even a Google folder. Let me click on it. It looks like this. And most of these applications, when you try to start them, again, they will ask you to sign into Google and to upload your data. Here are all applications, even more Google in there. And there's also a button which you can press, and then it records what you are saying and sends it to Google to start a search. And of course, this can be pressed by accident. So your typical Android and iOS smartphone cannot even install applications without an account, and they urge you to upload personal data. They have data synchronization as opt-out. This leads to the following problems. Vendor login, of course, so you probably know it's hard to switch from Android to iOS or other operating systems, and the other way around. And the permanent record. This means that all your data is stored forever, either by Android or iOS, by Google and Apple, or other companies, or by organizations such as the NSA. And even if you trust whoever is running these organizations and corporations, who knows who will be in charge in a few years and if you can trust them. So with Post-Market OS, we follow another approach. We do not require an account, and all synchronization with cloud services is opt-in. We recommend free software services such as Nextcloud, which you can also self-host, and then you are completely in control of your own data. And thanks to DAPSI, we were able to fund a couple of developments in Post-Market OS. We were able to do 7 service packs, 2 full releases, and implement a bunch of new features, such as enabling a firewall and a tweaks application, which is displayed here. So this tweaks application allows, this is a 1+6, which has a notch at the top. And for example, you can move the clock to the side so it is not covered by the notch. Besides that, as Pod Migrator is a open source project with a lot of contributors, there are also tasks that are not so popular, which need to be done, such as code review, bug fixes, and maintaining the infrastructure. And thanks to DAPSI, we were also able to get a lot of those tasks done. So now the slide is not, that's weird. Anyway, this is the end of the presentation, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Olivia, for this presentation and also for this very inspiring project. Thank you very much for this and for complying, obviously, with the time. So we can now move to the next project, which will be presented by Mathias de Bièvre, the presentation about Rulebook. Mathias is CEO of Visions. Good morning,
hi, everybody.
The virtual floor is yours.
Thank you, Miguel. Hi, everybody. Great to see all these wonderful projects. Thanks for the presentation. So I'm very happy to present you what we worked on under the rulebook, under the DAPSI project and this data contract service. So a bit of context, this project happens in the context of data spaces. Most of you must know about them, and it was presented by the DAPSI team in the introduction. It is really a new decentralized data infrastructure that will allow organizations to automatically and securely share data between themselves, but also people with personal data control their data and easily share it between different organizations. And so Europe is leading the way with GDPR, but also with their new data strategy, with organizations like GaiaX that are implementing data spaces, and organizations like My Data, for instance, that are working on empowering people in those data spaces. So there's a big opportunity for data portability, for human-centric data management with these data spaces. And organizations will use tools and people as well to connect to these data spaces and to share data. These tools will be data intermediaries that will play an important role, and these data intermediaries will manage legal, technical, and business aspects of data sharing. Our project focuses on the legal aspect, because if you look at the legal obligations and legal constraints, do you still see my screen? Do you still see, if you look at the legal, sorry, there was a little bit of change. If you look at the legal conditions to allow a person and to allow organizations to share data between themselves, GDPR and data portability is important, but it's not enough. You'll have sectoral rules, you'll have cross-sectoral rules, you'll have organization-specific conditions on security, on reporting, on audit, on IP, a lot of different conditions that we've represented here that need to be set in order for an organization to trust another to share data, a lot of obligations. And while data spaces can be a big opportunity for data sharing, and while these legal conditions are important to assure the security and the compliance of that data sharing, it can become an obstacle. Because organizations, if they don't have, in a sense, the legal power and the resources to study the legal aspects of this data sharing and to comply with it, well, they can very much not participate in data spaces because it will be too heavy for them, and that will block especially SMEs and a lot of organizations to allow this data sharing, and so people will not have a lot of ways to share data. And this is what where we come in and the problem we aim to solve. Our project united 3 organizations, so Visions, Knowledge Innovation Center, and 1001 Lakes, that are experts in data spaces, in the legal aspects of it, in data intermediaries. and that have been working on these data spaces. What we did first is we took a contract template for data networks that was produced by Citra, a Finnish organization that is called the Rulebook, and this is a contract for data networks. We adapted it to personal data, to the data spaces and data intermediaries context, and we did first the legal work to provide a standard contract for organizations that want to share data with standard clauses and conditions. So this is a first kind of deliverable on the legal basis that allows organizations to have a first legal conditions. And then we did a technical work to automate that contract. So automate the generation of such contracts between organizations, able to sign the contract on the Ethereum blockchain, have a protocol and an API to automatically verify the signature of the contract and the respect of the conditions before the data transfer, and generate consents based on that data contract to allow people to share it in an automatic way. Of course, this is open source. There's been a first version that is adopted and a second version that is based on a DLR that is under development. What we're very happy about is the adoption that we've got, because it's already integrated in 3 data intermediaries. It is used in production by first clients, and it is validated as the basis for the data contract service of a skills data space in France that has a lot of big organizations like the National Employment Agency, universities, the Ministry of Education that will use it to share data. And we're actively working in GaiaX and IDSA to promote this contract, this open source data contract service, the standards, the clauses, and ensure an adoption. And we've got already revenue from it because we're selling it in different packages. So thank you very much. We're happy for you to check out the project and the skills data space project that is uniting a lot of organizations to build this data space based on this legal data contract service, and to check our GitHub for contributions.
Thank you very much, Matthias, for the presentation for this holistic project and the complex one as well. Thank you very much. So we reach now the time for the next break, so we can meet all together again at exactly 12 CET. So have a good break, and see you for the last 5 pitches of the day. Hi again, everyone. Welcome back to the DAPSI Final Event. I'm looking at the chat. Yes, we all do miss the in-person coffee breaks. So let's proceed with the last batch of presentations. We have with us on this virtual stage Céline Laplaçotte, COO of Territs, and which is going to present the SEOP Scoop project. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Miguel. Hi, I am Céline Laplaçotte. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Territs. And today I will present you our DAPSI project, which is called Secure by Design Communication Protocol, or SCOP in short. So what started our work on this project is a simple question. How would we feel if the post office read our mails? If you're like us, I bet you wouldn't like it. So why is it the case with emails? Let me explain why emails are broken today. Most of online communication are not only lack of privacy, but also security. There's usually no data portability nor interoperability. Besides, most of communication platforms are poorly performant and energy intensive. To give you an idea, a typical email is responsible for 5 grams of CO2 emissions. It's the equivalent of a low energy light bulb for 1 hour. Those are the main issues online communication is facing. On the contrary, the solution we provide is secure by design. We implemented authentication techniques and aim for end-to-end encryption. It also provides privacy, so your data belongs to you and not to advertisers. We used open standard protocols to allow data portability and interoperability. Our solution is also performant and has a low energy consumption by decreasing its complexity. So you may wonder, how can we achieve all of that? Well, the answer... Oh, sorry. Don't know what happened here. Okay. Well, the answer is we have 2 ingredients in our secret sauce. The first one is MirageOS. It is a library operating system that builds unikernels for secure and high-performance network applications. Our second secret ingredient is the OCaml programming language. It is a type-safe functional language. And so with those 2 technologies, we are able to solve a lot of the recurring issue we see in online communication. So the SCOP project is an open and secure unikernel infrastructure for email and real-time communication. During the course of the DAPSI program, as showed on that slide, we achieved a number of tasks, including developing protocols for email and real-time communication, implementing a collection of unikernels, and we generated a corpus of emails to test those libraries. And now what's next? So as explained, MirageOS is a tooling box to build a secure and high-performance application. It is open source, so we encourage you to contribute if you'd like to. The SCOP project is part of a bigger goal, using that tooling box for the IoT. In particular, we partner with Hyper, a startup based in London, to build a platform for sustainable agriculture. Our brilliant team will continue to work on that project. So let me introduce them. They are experts on operating system and programming languages. In conclusion, as you understood it, we make sure the post office does not read your emails. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Celine, and thank you very much for the list of achievements shared. We can proceed now. We will have on stage Balázs Szabó, Konetik Deutschland CEO, presenting the project TTIP. I think you are muted. Okay, we can see your slides, but we can't hear you.
You're still muted, Balázs. You need to accept the request.
Okay, now works?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So thank you very much. My name is Balázs. I am the CEO of Konetik, a Berlin-based company helping businesses to integrate electric vehicles with software solutions. There is a growing number of connected cars out there. These vehicles gather valuable usage data. This data can be really useful to provide additional services that helps us to reach a more efficient and sustainable mobility. But at the same time, there is no standard data format to ensure interoperability and help reusing vehicle usage data. So this is how we came up with a solution, Telematics App. Telematics App solution allows users to share and control the access of services to their telematics data, irrelevant of the data format. In order to consolidate these data models and formats, we engineered an AI-based system that transforms data from one format to another. Regarding the market, the telematics market is growing massively, and it will reach the size of $320 billion by 2026. So the problem is going to be even bigger by time. Regarding the competition, we go beyond the state of the art in the dimensions that we are specifically focusing on the telematics industry, and our solution is really easy to use and deploy, which also reduces the time and money that is necessary to start and kick it off. Regarding the usability and commercialization, we have a free consumer usage. There is a shorter demo available on this link that you can see here. The UI was made to be easy and very user-friendly. We also have a commercial usage. The data providers can use the API to upload, manage, and transform the data. And the data services can also use our OAuth 2 to access authorized portions of the data. Also, developers can use the Transformer library to build their own custom data pipeline solution. We offer this, or we plan to offer this with the software as a service business model, which is based on the API cores. Regarding the functionality, we support our solution supports multiple file types, CSV, XLS, JSON, etc. Supports translation from multiple languages and date-time formats. This is a big challenge in this industry. The Transformer library and the reference API servers are written in Python, published on GitHub under an MIT license. The Telematics App is an OAuth 2 authorization provider. We use a stable release of Django OAuth Toolkit, which suits the requirement of privacy and secure exchange of user data. Regarding the efficiency, Telematics App takes seconds for small datasets and minutes for large datasets. This is comparable to days of or weeks of work of data cleaning and parsing several databases. So it's definitely a significant improvement, and it has its 10-time effect. What we have done during the DAPSI project, with a special focus on the phase 2, we have done the analysis of efforts to standardize telematics data and achieve interoperability. We prototyped the universal model to convert all formats of telematics data. We have done the reference implementation in Python of the machine learning system and the web app demonstration. And we have done the integration of OAuth 2.0 and API endpoint for using the system. Regarding the traction, what we have developed is currently being used by 4 clients of ours in countries like UK, Italy, and France. And yeah, about the company, we have already received some awards, like the TU Automotive Awards in Detroit for the e-mobility product of the year, for example. Yeah, so thank you very much for the opportunity to be part of the DAPSI program. We really appreciate to work together, and we learned a lot during the journey, and we hope that we could contribute to the community as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Balázs, and thank you for your kind words. Let's now move to this next project. I think we'll have 2 people joining the stage now. Oliver Krekel and Henriette Singer from Merlinux, presenting the Eppd project. So I can see on the chat, please invite Henriette Singer, not me. Hi, Abdul. Can we invite Henriette to the stage?
Hello. Hi. Sorry. So I think you have my slides. Exactly. Okay, I'll start right away. Hello, everyone. Messengers are incompatible, insecure, and closed. And this refers to 3 major weaknesses of nowadays messengers, such as WhatsApp and Telegram. And so firstly, these messengers all work with a centralized approach, sending all the messages through one server entity. They collect and process metadata, and in general, centralized systems are more vulnerable to cyber attacks. They are also incompatible. You could not send a WhatsApp message to a Telegram account. And finally, centralized messengers can also be blocked by governments. And for example, before elections or during protests, as it regularly happens. Now, Delta Chat, this is why we are creating a decentralized, resilient, and interoperable messenger ecosystem that is secure by design, using only existing infrastructure. Delta Chat looks like a messenger, but is based on email. With the email provider of your choice, you can create a Delta Chat account and start chatting right away. The most important feature is that it has no central servers. It doesn't need personal data such as a phone number, and it cannot be blocked by governments because governments themselves use email as for the internal communication. And even if your email provider gets blocked, you can easily migrate with your Delta Chat account to another provider. You can also send a message to people who don't have Delta Chat. They'll just receive this message as an email in their regular email client. Now, Delta Chat already works with a lot of providers quite well, but not at the same level of quality due to performance limitations of the various providers. And to find out which provider works best and which providers work well with Delta Chat, in the past 9 months, and thanks to the DAPSI funding, we created the Email Provider Portability Directory, helping users to make informed choices when choosing or changing a provider. Additionally, we improved interaction and operability between Delta Chat and providers. We had 2 releases. implementing the features like message relay info, quota, and connectivity that help users understand where a problem comes from when they use Delta Chat. For example, a delayed or unsent message often refers to a limitation of the email provider and not to a limitation of Delta Chat. We also made Outlook and Hotmail work with Delta Chat. And finally, in the second DAPSI phase 2 of the DAPSI funding, we added the account switcher that helps you seamlessly switch between your various email accounts within Delta Chat. Thanks to our great community, international community, and the great support and feedback that we always get, we could make this all possible. We have a small local team in Germany that coordinates common app development efforts, raises funds, and publishes news. And I want to introduce two very important people. We have here Björn Pedersen for UX and development, who actually invented Delta Chat 3 years ago for his teenage daughter to have an alternative to WhatsApp and co. And he then contacted Holger Kreko, who pushed the project further and got more people on board. And then myself, I'm coordinating, and also I'm responsible for public funding, which is for now our business model for groundwork, because we want to build a messaging open source infrastructure and a product that is competitive with the big players on the market, because messengers raise high user expectations. And DAPSI was part of this groundwork funding, and we're very grateful. And our most recent funding milestone is the Internet Freedom Funding Award of the US. But moreover, we are also developing and discussing other business developments for this year and coming years, such as hosting, secure service for businesses, and freemium accounts. And we have talked to various potential business partners. And in November 21, we started collaborating with ServerCow, a German email hosting service. And we want to explore these options, like secure services for businesses and freemium accounts and other various options. So time is already up, I think. Thank you very much, DAPSI, for the funding, for the support. We really enjoyed working with you. Please try out Delta Chat if you like. Try out the new email messaging experience, and let us know if you have any questions or suggestions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Henriette, for the project, for this inspiration, and also for complying with the time of the pitch. Thank you very much. So we now move to the last but not least project, will be presented by Matthew Weil, Snicket founder, which will be presenting Exporta. Hi again.
Hi, thank you, Miguel. The wrong slides, sorry. That's it. Thank you. Yeah, so I'm presenting Snicket, and my name's Matthew Weil. I've been working on open source and open standards, and specifically in the domain of open online communication and XMPP since a long time ago. I'm in general just very passionate about making this kind of digital freedom accessible to non-technical people, because often it's restricted to people who know how to set things up and so on. So Henrietta just before me gave a good example of the state of things today, where you have WhatsApp and a lot of closed messaging silos, and it's a real problem for people who are trying to push this digital freedom out to their friends, their family, their contacts. And the current situation is people are forced often to accept these terms and conditions, for example, WhatsApps, that they don't necessarily want to, but they feel they have to be able to communicate with their friends and family. So we've been working on Snicket, which is a messaging app. It's based on open standards XMPP, and it's currently for Android and iOS. It is based on the open XMPP network, so there's no phone number required. You can have multiple accounts, so you can have one for your family and one for your work, and so on. has all the same modern features that you would expect, the ability to share media and have audio and video calls. It's end-to-end encrypted, but the important feature is it's federated, so anyone has the ability to self-host or choose a hosting provider for their Snicket instances, and they have the ability to communicate between each other. So as I mentioned, this is all based on XMPP. It's been around for quite a while. It's an open standard for online communication, and it describes how software interoperates, and it's all publicly documented so that anyone can participate, and there's a lot of open source built around it. It was most famously used by Google when they announced Google Talk, and that ran for quite a while, but they eventually shut it down when they changed their messaging strategy again. So Snicket's an attempt to, bring that back again and put it back into people's hands, but this time without the big tech leading the way. So DAPSI allowed us to, as part of this, they gave us the funding so that we could implement a way that people could migrate their account data from one XMPP provider to another. That includes Snicket or other XMPP-based services. And so we started out by defining a standard data format for the account data, including your contacts and your message history and things like that. And then we implemented that into Snicket and into Portability, which is an open source XMPP server that anyone can install and use. And a lot of people do. There are thousands of deployments online and people use it every day. So for the future of Snicket, we've set ourselves up as a not-for-profit, and to keep us sustainable, we're working on a hosted platform so that people can, sign up and invite their families, for example, and message each other. And honestly, it's working out fine for a lot of people. As an alternative, my own family have switched over, and it's been great, because that was ultimately my initial goal. Was I wanted to move my family off WhatsApp onto something more open source and freedom respecting. And as part of this, we're expanding the modern XMPP ecosystem. So everything we do is open source and published online, and people can self-host it. But thanks to the hosting platform, they're not forced to do that if they aren't into self-hosting. And we have some interesting partnerships. And of course, we have funding from NGI, DAPSI, and personal individual donations as well. So that's all for now. Thank you very much for everything. Thanks DAPSI, especially for funding the project, and everyone organizing this event.
Thank you very much, Matthew, for the presentation and for putting the power of people back, the power in people's hands. Sorry, you and all the teams that presented today are doing this, putting back the power of data in people's hands, which is very important. We are all here for. So we added the pitch presentations, and I have two acknowledgements that I would like to do. Two organizations that help us with promoting this event. First, mostly the MyData Global Organization, which has the purpose to empower individuals by improving their right to self-determination, which have been supporting the DAPSI project since the beginning, and we are grateful for the collaboration so far. And also the Open Forum Europe, that helped to promote this event today. So without any break, we will proceed with the next session of the event, which is the roundtable and the DAPSI success stories. So this session will be moderated by Robin Waters, co-founder and editor-in-chief of tech.eu. Welcome on stage. And the panel of experts will be composed by Mehdi Medjaou from Alias and participants from the first open call, Carola Compa from DeepL, Philippe Page from Digital Immunization Passport, and Anne-Sophie Thalender, Data and AI Platform TerraLab Director and expert at Cap Digital. So I'll pass the ball to you, Robin Waters, and have a great session.
Thank you very much, Miguel. It was very kind of you to invite me to moderate this panel. It's been very interesting for me to learn more about DAPSI, NGI, but also the partners involved in the project. And also kudos to all the people who have pitched their startups. I know it's not always easy, even when it's in a virtual setting. So well done. Some really interesting stuff going on there. You already got the slide with sort of an overview of who the people on this panel are, but I am going to give them a moment to quickly introduce themselves before we get to the discussion. We'll start with the ladies first. Maybe Carola from the Pella.
Yes, hello, how are you? Well, my name is Carola Compa. I'm the business developer of Dipela. We started as a very, very small firm, like the two founders and myself helping with the business side. And I have a background in business and in software developing.
Great. Not from the Hall of Fame, but an expert for Cap Digital and also director of TerraLab. We have Anne-Sophie. Welcome.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting me at this final event. So I'm Anne-Sophie Taillandier. I'm working at IMT, Institut Mines Télécom, which is a French research institute. I'm a TerraLab director. TerraLab is a platform to help companies, labs, innovators to work together on real data. And we are running since 9 years, involved in a lot of European projects. And I'm also one of the active member of Gaia X in Europe around data interoperability, for example, and an expert at Cap Digital. Yes, thank you.
Great, thanks. Welcome to the panel. We also have Philippe Page. He's the chairman of the board of trustees for the Human Colossus Foundation, as you can see in the slide. But he's here to talk about the Digital Immunization Passport, which is a very descriptive name. Welcome, Philippe.
Hello, thank you for having me here. Yes, so I'm based in Geneva, working for the Human Colossus Foundation, where we actually promote decentralized technology, both into the semantic, authentication, and governance space. We put all that together, working on standardization but we also try to build it under a concept which we call dynamic data economy. That takes all my time. I don't know if we'll go to the Digital Immunization Passport, but we were part of the DAPSI in the previous call, and we have some nice follow-up to mention, not only from our Human Colossus Foundation, but for Own Your Data, which we were co-running the DAPSI project.
Great. Last but not least, Mehdi.
Hello, everyone. I'm trying to put my background back, but the platform is not working again, but it's totally fine. I'll try later. So my name is Mehdi. I was part of the first DAPSI open call with Alias project about portability. And again, I would love to share some new updates that we had since the first edition, how DAPSI helped us, how we went beyond the DAPSI program and where we are today.
That's a very good segue for my first question, because I was just about to ask every one of you sort of how you got to know DAPSI, how you got involved in the first batch, and how the project has helped you, get to where you are today. Maybe we could start with Philippe.
So we got to know DAPSI through a search of public grant because we had an idea that was not really mature for a startup. We were working on more protocol to work on the simple idea of why the yellow book of the vaccination yellow book of World Health Organization had never been digitalized. And the underlying problem is that it's hard to build IT solutions that have to work in the multiple jurisdiction, not only multi-language, but it has to be accepted in multiple jurisdiction. And working on the SSI, self-sovereign identity concept, that's how we ended up in the DAPSI project with Own Your Data. For us, it was great because we could really develop the thing without thinking too much about the business case, really showing the concept. And at the end of the DAPSI project, we came out with the prototype that was showcasing our basic idea that two different companies could actually build one tool without actually merging or doing anything that would be usable elsewhere, with focusing on the patient or the person as the carrier of the credential in a sense. After that, Own Your Data continue on their side using the same ideas, and now they are working with they have a similar project of interoperability with the ID Union project in Germany that is sponsored by the Federal Ministry of Transportation there, where they are testing the idea further, both in terms of semantics and also portability, and they apply that obviously to COVID passport. So DAPSI helped them to actually get that, and instead of interoperability with us, they are doing interoperability with eSatus Wallet, a German-based company. So we continue in that side. On the Human Colossus side, we actually were also participant of another NGI product in SIF Lab, focusing on self-sovereign identity, and merging the two allowed us to build a real startup, a commercial startup, focusing on the healthcare vertical, on the sharing of information, especially sensitive information into the pharmaceutical and healthcare sector, where we see the limitation of blockchain solutions because everyone could be a patient, and it's unthinkable with the current state of the technology to have everyone on one single blockchain. So we're working in this area.
Great. Well, that's a good overview. Thank you so much. Karolina, maybe moving to you. DPELA is developing a data analytics platform that's very privacy friendly. Maybe tell us more about how you got involved with DAPSI and how it's changed sort of the course of the project since then. I think you're still muted. Sorry, Karolina.
So we know about DAPSI, about searching for the different investments. For us, it was very important because we came from a research platform and from a research project. So it was very important for us to have the foundings to build the prototype without giving shares of the company. So it was very important for us to start up that. And once we built the prototype with DAPSI, we could aim to go and knock doors on different industries. That is the case that today we are doing a POC with Ericsson, which is very important for us. And we are discussing with some other automotive companies that are interested in our technology. What we do is privacy preserving analytics, meaning that all this data that it's logged because they don't have the authorizations to use it. For example, we collect data from a car, but we collect a lot of data for one purpose, but we could do some other things, and we have no clearance on that. So with our solution, companies can enable doing more analytics and learning more insights or even monetizing that data. So that's our goal. And our experience on DAPSI, besides the money, was also the coaching. Along these 2 years that we have done different coachings with different incubators or even universities that approach to us. But the most valuable of DAPSI was that the coaches were expert on this kind of technology. So it's not the same to have a coach that knows about what we are talking about deep tech, about, in our case, was around the telco market. So it helped us a lot more than other, or other coaching's experiences that we have.
Great. Well, we have one of the experts here. So Anne-Sophie can maybe weigh in before we have maybe sort of answered the first question. But Anne-Sophie, as an expert, how do you work with some of the companies that are or the projects that get involved with DAPSI, and how have you seen sort of their evolution from the beginning until now?
So yes, so on Terra Lab, we are very close of what you're doing, Carola. So we are helping companies to free their data, free in a sovereign, secured way, in order to be able to work around their own data with some other skills, I will say, some other companies or labs, and then we help them to define the architecture they will need, and then to transfer the technology. So this is the same kind of things we are doing, and since the beginning, what we have seen, first it was one company with one set of data for one use case, for example, and now we see an ecosystem. Like for car companies that will come with their suppliers, and their own data, and they have to work in much more ecosystem. And this is why the subject Philippe was mentioning also before about identity, sovereignty, the way we could have interoperability and trust in order to be able to share this kind of data and to build new products and new services is really the topic of right now since I would say 3 or 4 years in research labs. And we are deeply working on it to unlock this kind of new use cases. And this is also the reason why I'm involved in GaiaX, because we need standards, we need reference architecture, we need open source, and the open is key here to be able to get this interoperability and to avoid companies to be locked in some provider solutions. And for Europe, this is really key.
Great.
So,
well, thank you for weighing in. I'm going to go back to my initial question for Mehdi. You are trying to make GDPR programmable. Sorry. So I'd love to hear more about how you approach that. It's built on the OAuth protocol, which I have a feeling you had a big part in establishing the protocol in the first place. So maybe tell us a bit more about how Elias is sort of going through this DAPSI journey.
Yeah. So how we discovered DAPSI, like many type of grants or funding or whatever, we discovered like 2 days before last submission, when someone said, "Hey guys, I think what you're working on is definitely what DAPSI is trying to promote and push and support." So we spent like 48 hours full on the file and everything. And yes, so we discovered DAPSI in that context. It really fits what we were wanting to achieve, like putting portability to the next level by making regulation more friendly for developers and for users. So as we say, making it programmable. And yes, so we discovered a lot of things. We've shifted the project many times during DAPSI. So when you have the intention and you see the reality of people ability to execute, to try, to test, to understand, to apply the law. So yeah, and at the end, what happened after DAPSI is that some companies said, okay, what you provide for users is actually what you would like internally, because we have issues to know where's the data in our systems. We have issues to know if we're allowed to use this data or whatever. So before asking us the data to your users for full portability, that's working. We published a report that shows this not working because they don't. Most of the company don't comply. Please give us the tools. Allow us to have the tools internally to collect this data, and then you will be able to give it back to users. But you need to. If you can't beat us, join us first for portability. So this is mostly what we did, and then for following first proof of concept, we had some interest from investors, from top deep tech investors. And some business angels, and at the end we raised a seed round, and we also won during the DAPSI. So last thing I want to share, we were individuals. We were not a company or whatever. We created a company out of these individuals. 3 members of the project are now co-founders of the company. The 2 other went back on their own venture. And yes, and we also won the French national competition of deep tech project, as we call, by the French Ministry of Research, which is a grant of 250,000. So it's not nothing. So yeah, it's a company funded with a community of developers and customers, and yeah, now we need to do the rest. We need to continue.
Yeah. Again, a very brilliant segue into my next question, what comes next? Because it's very interesting to learn more about the start of your journeys, but of course there is a long way ahead as well. So what are you going to be focusing on in, let's say, the next 2 to 5 years, and how would you like the evolution to be? What would be the best case scenario for your respective projects? Carola, maybe start with you.
Yeah. Well, now we are looking for funding, and we have a 5-year plan. First, we need to build up a Dipela box to be able to capture different use cases. And then once we have this experience acquired and different use cases on track, scale this product until almost plug and parameterize product. It won't ever be a plug and play because of the complexity of the technology that we use, which is differential privacy. So it's with a mathematical approach, but we aim to reach to that point where we can have plenty of customers, easy to integrate.
Great. Maybe going back to you, what's next for Elias?
Well, so what's next? Continuing. That's important, keeping the momentum, growing the developer community, the user, because also we have jurists and legal analysts as part of the community who open sourcing. So the first part of the project was open source. We built something on top and open sourcing it. So community open source part, maturing the business models and supporting more regulation. GDPR is one of them, but for a user who is in the US with maybe a Singaporean provider for a European citizen, so European citizen, US company, Singaporean whatever service, whatever, depending on the stuff, you need to respect more regulation actually. So supporting more regulation to be a worldwide scale product.
Yeah, I'm going to get back to the regulation topic in a second. Maybe Philip, walk us through what needs to happen in the next few years for you to be successful.
So we were two companies, so I will say a few words for Christophe Fabianek, who is leading Own Your Data. They keep on working and actually bringing this solution to market into real solution, like working with ID Union, French company, other type of trust registries, and at the same time working on the academic sector, like finding new semantic ways. So I think the path of Own Your Data, they already have some revenues from the existing service they have. On our side, our 5-year plan has started with the following, because we are touching about basically what we want to do is secure the data, not when it is on a platform, but when it transits from one platform or the other, when we go from one blockchain to a centralized system. So the first thing to do is really to bring the concept we have into a truly decentralized key management system. If you don't get the cryptography right, it's not going to work. So that's what we are doing. We have some pretty good sources outside, not customer, but the sponsors behind that. So this is the plan for this year. And once we have this basis, it's going to be used by not only Medea, that's the company we created, but other companies that are interested in actually sharing data to build a specific solution for their own thing. So in the 5 years plan, it is really to address the clinical trial sector into the healthcare, where you have a multitude of actors, from researcher to patient, big pharma, patient association. And if we provide this open infrastructure to all of them, then a lot of application will be built. We are not discussing application from the foundation level of so we did that, and for the moment we are actually working on creating this basic infrastructure, looking for larger funding to create it. We have 5 use cases which could each become one company if someone was just focusing on that. So we don't really know which one's going to take off, but it's really step one, creating this cryptographic infrastructure. It's really done. It should be available in open source format from the foundation. Starting May already, the first thing. And then the product will start next year from the Medea side on other partner. It's not only for Medea we do that. There is a other partner which we call that Colossi the Colossi network, playing the word with SSI on Colossus. And it's working both on the US, North America, and the Europe scale. And we have contact with the agri-food sector in Canada, where they are using all this credential into a circular economy between farmers, regulators. So I can't tell you today if we will be doing human health or animal health or veterinarian, but because we are really at the start, building first the infrastructure on which you can have your root of trust and things like that.
Yeah, lots of options, which I guess in this case is a good thing. Anne-Sophie, a similar question for you. What's next for DARAP?
So Terralab, we are a non-profit, so if we are not in the same kind of business that my colleagues here. I'm really excited to see this kind of topics developed and have new companies working on it and to continue their business, because this is really, really important. Everything I heard at this roundtable, this is a new economy to work in a decentralized way, to bring data analytics, to have a conformity to regulation, and to be able to automatically show that you are compliant to this regulation. This is really important. So I will continue with Terralab. I mean, the Terralab will continue its job to accelerate the adoption of this kind of technology and to accelerate the technology transfer. That is really important, because a lot of things are also in labs, in research labs. So they have to move to the market. And I will also continue to bring this kind of community alive and to also animate the open source community to be able to have this portability, interoperability, trust, and accelerate AI adoption within the economic fields.
Great. Well, the term regulation has come up a few times already, which is normal because it's an inherent part of the conversation when we're talking about things like AI and code and data portability. But of course, I would love to hear from you what your sort of opinion is on the regulatory frameworks that are in place now. We had the pleasure of hearing from the Commission in the first two keynotes in this very event. But I'd love to hear from your perspective, the regulation, and in Europe specifically, I mean, are we having the right kind of conversation? Is it moving fast enough, and is it moving in the right direction? Maybe starting with you. I see you're shaking your head no.
No, in the report that has been downloaded like more than 100,000 times, we really push the idea that, just an example on portability, the fact the word API, the technical aspect are not described enough. Companies are able to not comply or to really avoid and escape the sense of the law, and so the delay, whatever. So we think it's not going as fast as we think. Just an example, the Access Act in the US for interoperability is pushing the idea of APIs for instant transfer, instant portability with the same level of rights that the user could have that if he was a partner of the company. So Europe was really leading forward the regulation with GDPR. It has been copied by 60 countries of the world. That's great, but some countries are going beyond. Even China is pushing the consent as the legal base versus Europe, the contract, just to say, like, there's the Europe was leading the regulation part. Is people are catching up. So Europe really needs to go beyond and just really being user first and user centric and continue in that direction to have a fair data society. So it's not going as fast as we should like, as we would like as entrepreneur. And just it's just a warning here that a lot of entrepreneurs are putting a lot of time and money and effort on thinking this regulation is a stable base for sustainable business. And today it's not the case. And many investors say, look, we don't know. We don't trust this legal infrastructure and legal base enough to be sustainable for business. With banking, portability in banking, PSD2, we had fintech. We had hundreds of billions of dollars in the worldwide because of fintech idea. We would have portability into banking, right? With PSD2 regulation. With GDPR, we did not see this personal data tech or fintech for data, whatever how you call it, because the whole industry doesn't believe it's stable enough for sustainable business. Of course, DAPSI was here to seed it with entrepreneurs and everything, but we are the first renegades. The big wave is not there yet.
Yeah. Okay, that's a very, very clear and opinionated answer. Thank you for that. We only have a couple of minutes left. Philip, maybe you want to share your take on the regulatory framework as well.
Yeah, I think we hear a lot about regulation. We also hear a lot about ethics. And when ethics has to have the regulation, means the regulations are way behind, are not up to date. So I think there is an urgency to work on that. I think Europe is pretty good with the notion of data sharing, the data Governance Act, I think is really going into the right direction compared to the rest of the world. So I think we are positive. And what I actually liked was the name of the previous DAPSI Final Event, the web after the platform, because that's really where regulation needs to step in a light but strong way. How do you protect the data when it goes from my platform to your platform? Because if we want data sharing, that we know how to protect the data on every platform. Now, how do you protect the data when it flows from one platform to the other? So a lot of work, and we are working a lot with data protection officer to try to get this idea of sovereignty on your data. And I like what Anne-Sophie was speaking before, sovereignty at the enterprise level. That's something that is also needs to be linked to the regulation aspect. We saw that in Switzerland, where we had a vote about the EID, which was a hot topic, and even the citizen voted against a law that was actually very, very technical. So that means everyone is concerned. So there is a huge regulatory aspect to look at.
Yeah. Tech and data sovereignty, very, very much a topic of conversation here in Brussels for sure. Carola, maybe your take as well?
Well, for me, the opinion is more social. I think companies may, to force this to go faster, GDPR, I think fines are the thing that work, because maybe companies don't understand GDPR, but they understand fear about fines. So although we created this, and I think all of here create this because we believe in the sovereignty of our data. But I think to pull this and to go faster, companies need to be more aware of this and make this their priority. So it's nothing. I can't talk about GDPR itself, but what I see how companies are aware of this, and I think maybe the lack of awareness of some companies.
Great answer. Okay, thank you. Last but not least, Anne-Sophie.
I like the term fair data society. I mean, for the moment, so regulation, we have some regulation. I think we have to continue to have some regulation. We need to have transparency also about laws that are applicable on the different kind of data. Here I was more talking not that much about personal data, but much more about data from companies. I mean, data with IP. And we have to allow this circulation of data in between companies, as Philippe also was mentioning. There is the trusted exchange, but also the way we can identify the data, the way we can control the usage of the data. I mean, a company A will want to share some data with company B if they know how they will use it and for what they will use it and for how long they will use it. But they need also to be able to be so who will control it? There's a lot of questions. There are some technologies. We will get maybe some regulation, but at least we will get some transparency of that will help companies to be aware of the risk they are taking by using this service or the other another service. And I agree that it's a lot about awareness of companies, but we have also to bring to companies some indicators. So they can also take decision with a complete view of the impact of the decision. And they'll also need, I was also mentioning, to unlock companies, they need the portability and the interoperability is really, really, really important because we are talking about big companies, but also SMEs, startups, and they have to be able to continue their business without being blocked. So
definitely a tough balancing act, but a very necessary one. That's all the time we have. We're over time. In fact, we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to learn more about your respective initiatives, and I'm looking forward to learning more about your initiatives, but also DAPSI in general. Thank you so much for having me moderate, and have a nice rest of the day.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Hello, hello everybody. Okay, so we are in the last part of the event, in the closing part that I will lead. My name is Sara Mateo. I'm the DAPSI Project coordinator, and it has been a pleasure to be here today with all of you. I don't know if I can share my presentation to close this part. One second. It seems I'm not able, so thank you for sharing. So first of all, I would like to congratulate you all for the pitches today. It was amazing to see all the results you have achieved after the 9 months of program working with us. So thank you to the 14 teams. Also, I would like to thank our roundtable participants. It was also very interesting to see your opinion on the topic. Also, our keynote speakers opening the event this morning, Jean-Luc and Karolina. I would like to also thank you, my colleagues that participated today as moderators of these sessions. They are partners in DAPSI, and they will make a great job with this event. And also, I would like to especially mention my data global community. They have supported us in the promotion of this event. So thank you for your support and help. And also, I would like to finish this part with mentioning also the Open Forum Europe. They have also supported us in the promotion, and they are celebrating on the 4th of February an interesting event around the EU Open Source Policy Summit. So I encourage you to also join this event. And now, after this congratulations part, I would like to remind to our teams in round 2 that there are still a few things to finish your participation with us. We are finalizing the final technical assessment of your projects to proceed with the last payment. And of course, we will want to know your opinion about DAPSI and the support received. So we will send you also a questionnaire. And apart from these final activities, well, this is the end for you, but you are still part of the NGI community. So you will have access to all the NGI Tetra services available, our DAPSI knowledge management system. Also, you will still receive some funding opportunities and invitations to events. So let's say that you are ending the program, but not the collaboration with us. And I would like also to mention that even if we say goodbye to the teams in round 2, this is the beginning for the round 3 of projects that we have in DAPSI from our last call. It was open from September to November last year. We received 147 applications, and you can see in the presentation some figures that our applicants were mainly companies, and with Germany in the top of the list. And my intention today was to announce the name of the projects that will participate in the round 3. But as we are still in this administrative process of signature of contracts, etc., it's not official yet. I cannot reveal this information, but I would like to share with you some tentative information about these new projects. We expect to have and engage 20 new projects contributing to data portability and services. From these projects, again, we have a high number of SMEs, of companies in the teams, also collaborating with individuals and also some non-profit entities. And we have representation in these projects from France, the Netherlands, Germany, United Kingdom, Belgium, Greece, Switzerland, Spain, Finland, Denmark, and Estonia. So I'm quite sure that they will be great projects, and we expect to announce the names of the projects and some details about it soon. So keep posted to know them very soon. Okay, and with this, I finish my presentation. And again, the last message that I would like to send is that well, congratulations to all of you.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you everybody for the great insights and great new information. It was very, very interesting to learn all those new facts about portability in general, and also like very specifically about the projects or your respective domains. So by that, we conclude the event, the second final event of DAPSI. We wish all the teams all the best of lucks. We are very happy that you were part of this journey, and really, really fingers crossed for your next successes. And just I would like to really thank everybody for a collaboration to make this event happen, and especially to Julia Morawski, my colleague from Cap Digital, that really worked very hard to put it all together and did a great job. Thank you, Julia. Thank you, everybody, and have a very nice afternoon. Thank you.